It's a good move, but the result is what we're looking for. This is not the first time we're having the task force. We've also have the executive order. The first one is a year plus now, and then, of course, the results are not there to be found. So we have to do more than task force. A research has shown that about 60% of the vehicles on the bridge heading to Apapa have no business in Apapa at all. So you have to do something. There's no way these trucks cannot disappear. There has to be somewhere for them to go and park.
How would you advise they then solve this problem? Is it technology or is it better management systems? You know, what would you?
It's actually all of them. Technology is critical. If you are using an RFID, for example, it's very easy to be able to use it to identify who has business to go. Then, of course, if you have trailer parks and the rest of them, then you have a call-up system where vehicles are called when they have something to do. It's a combination of everything. And there's absolute indiscipline. And from the look of things, it does appear that there are people who are gaining from what is going on. So you need a comprehensive approach to be able to dislodge them and then get the system.
Talking about people gaining from this anomaly,
yeah.
What would you say, or how would you say, how deep would you say this is costing the economy of Lagos and Nigeria as a whole?
It's heavy. It's very, very... You know, the point is that here in this country, we don't care so much about statistics. We just complain that there are trucks on the bridge. We complain that there's port congestion. We never get down to finding the Naira implication of those things. So it's quite huge. Is it the man-hour you want to talk about? A transaction that would have taken a turnaround time of 3 days, it will be on the bridge for 14 days. The cost of moving a container now from the port to Shagamu here is about 600,000. So it's now cheaper to bring a container from China to Lagos than to take it to Shagamu. So it's really huge, and we need to do something about it. And the annoying thing is that almost up to 40% of the federal government revenue comes from those two ports. Why did we allow it to get to this level?
So why? I want you to speak to the opportunities in other ports. I'm sure that's not I'm sure we have other ports across the country. At least if some traffic is taken to some of these other places, don't you think it will reduce some of the pressure?
Definitely, definitely, because some of the containers we are talking about are either going to Onitsha or to Aba or even to Port Harcourt, which is sad.
So why don't they use those ports?
Those ports have been unattended to. The Apapa Port is about 14.5 meters, the draft. The Calabar Port is 6.4. Port Harcourt Port is 7. What size of vessels can berth in those places? You have vessels that are needing 15, 16, 17 meters draft. So how will they berth in those places? So, and this thing, even the Lagos one, you'll be shocked to hear that vessels are being diverted now from Nigeria to Togo and all these
so for me, it then speaks of the fact that we need to invest in port infrastructure.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Definitely, like Lagos, you even need to dredge Lagos. Being the biggest port, the biggest vessel should be able to berth here. And you know the implication is that those big vessels will berth on the sea, and then smaller vessels will go to pick those things and bring to the shore. Not for free. That's additional logistics cost. This is exactly the reason why we are continuously sliding on the logistics performance index of World Bank. Last year we were 90. This year we were 110.
How do you think we can now get all the stakeholders involved? Because I understand that to make some of these drastic changes like you're suggesting, you know, we will need at least everybody involved in the entire ecosystem to be you know, in cahoots with the plans.
I think one of the major challenges is a lack of interagency collaboration. That is one major issue that we have. So if you're talking about bringing stakeholders, let the agencies that have something to do with the ports, first of all, come together. Then the stakeholders will tell them what they want, and then something will be done. Let's take on airports. There was a time it was as bad as this. But the current administration in Rivers State, when they came into power, called the companies operating within the area and said, what can we do? It became a partnership, and they resolved it. So it's not rocket science. It can be done. But I think this whole thing is about what we're watching constantly is the oil price, whether it is going up or coming down. We are not looking at what we stand to gain from functional and efficient ports and maritime system.
Earlier, you mentioned about the fact that the turnaround time for some of these transactions usually should be 2 or 3 days, and it's taking 14 days. Yeah. Do you think the port procedures play a part in this?
The part that the port procedures play is a little bit insignificant as far as I'm concerned, because it is not anything out of the ordinary. A lot has been done in this direction. We have the trade hub. The authorities have tried to bring all the agencies to the trade hub, including the customs, everybody. Every day something is being done to either reduce documentation or make things easier. So it couldn't have been port operations that will keep the number of trailers that we see on the road. So
we'll keep seeing them on the road.
It's a little, I mean, it contributes. We really need to simplify further. But that's not the cause of what we are seeing.